I wanted to talk about how you can use MIDI VST plugins with a DAW of your choice. So I'll be covering Cakewalk, FLStudio, and Ableton in this video. Before I begin, I just want to cover what basically MIDI VST is. So there are multiple types of VSTs. There are audio VSTs, there are MIDI VSTs, there are other utilitarian VSTs like a notepad or maybe a post-it that you can use with your DAWs to organize stuff. But in this particular video, we'll only be covering MIDI VSTs and what they essentially do. So when you think about the flow of signal from your MIDI device to the final audio that you hear on your headphones or maybe on your monitor speakers, the basic path that it takes is that there is MIDI instrument. You just press a key on it, or it can be a keyboard, or it can be sort of a control unit like a like an FPC. So the moment you press that key on your keyboard, a MIDI signal is sent, okay, to the DAW of your choice. That DAW will process that and send it across to any VST or any virtual instrument that is there in your track. So, and that basically virtual instrument will send out an audio signal that will then be processed through whatever audio effects are there, and then you can hear it on your headphones or your monitor speakers. So what a MIDI VST essentially does is it sits right in between, meaning obviously the DAW manages this, but it sits in between the key that you have pressed on your keyboard and the signal that your virtual synthesizer is receiving, your virtual instrument is receiving. So it modifies the signal flow between your key press and the synthesizer that you're using or the instrument that you're using. So it allows you to create like effects like chords and arpeggios on your MIDI signal. So we will just have a look at how you can use some of these to maybe sort of improve your melodies, right? So let's start with it. Yeah. So right now, as you can see, this is an empty track. There's nothing in over here. And this again, we are sort of in Cakewalk right now. And I will delete this audio track because I don't think we need it for this sort of demo. So I'll just add one instrument here. Okay. So in this case, we'll be using Cream CM by Kernu. So Cream CM is one of those MIDI VSTs that sort of alters the signal, MIDI signal that is coming in from your controller, right? So we'll just add one of these, and yeah, here it is. Here is the interface for Kernu Cream CM, right? This is this particular MIDI VST comes as a part of the Computer Magazine subscription. So you can get your hands on it by just subscribing to the Computer Magazine, Computer Music Magazine, right? So we have this VST. When you sort of play a note, you can see that a note is already playing, but you cannot hear any audio right now, correct? And this is what we want to sort of fix. So what is essentially happening is I am pressing a note on my keyboard, and that note is being sent to Kernu Cream CM, and it is processing that note with its own arpeggios and with its own chords, but it is not being sent to any virtual instrument, and that is why you cannot really hear any notes at this point. So what we'll do is we'll add another synthesizer that can actually create some noise or maybe some sound. Yeah, so we'll add another instrument over here, and we will choose maybe like I don't know, we could go with Zebra CM, right? So we just select it. Now, because we want our Zebra CM to receive input from Kernu Cream CM, because we want that modification to happen on the MIDI note, we will select as an input over here Cream CM, right? MIDI Omni, and we will just click create here, and that has basically set the signal route. Now the signal is gonna go from Cream CM through to Zebra CM, and but still when I press the note you cannot really hear anything. This is because we have not set the track to be monitored. And to do that, all you need to do is come to Zebra CM over here. This is the synth that will play the notes. This is not your MIDI add-on, MIDI plugin. So you come here and click on this button. And now what happens is when you come back to Cream CM and press one of these, you can start hearing some sound. Right? You can hear some sound. Right? But it still doesn't sound like any alteration is being, done to the MIDI note that I am pressing, right? But now here you can see that there is sort of a sequence here, correct? We can change this with one of these presets. We could probably add a bass sequence here because the sound is quite bassy. As you can see, so all of this is happening just by me pressing a single note for an extended period of time. I'll just let you hear this pressed note even, without Kernu Cream CM, so you get an idea of what is exactly happening here. Now, when I come to Zebra CM and I just press this, you cannot hear anything right now, because it's not taking input from my keyboard. It's taking its input from Cream CM. So what I'll just do is I will come here and I will select that input. I will change that input to all external devices. And now when I press this, press a note on my keyboard, you can just hear a single note being played. Right? The moment I change this to MIDI Omni on Cream CM1, and click on the Cream CM and then press a note, you can start hearing a sequence here. This is what essentially a MIDI VST does. It alters the signal of the MIDI input to the synth of your choice, to the instrument of your choice, and then you can basically get like small melodies and riff patterns just by using a single note. It makes it easier for you to sketch out ideas quickly, without changing much. So we'll just do a small sort of a recording here. So, so it's clear what I'm trying to tell over here. So just let's arm this track for recording. We'll arm this one as well. And now I will press one of these keys. You can see what Cream CM is doing here. It is actually altering the track, right? And actually, I'm sorry, I think I made a mistake here. This was, you're not supposed to sort of select the track that is actually altering the MIDI signal. You're supposed to actually record on the track that is the synth track, which in this case is the Zebra CM track. So we'll just select this. Click over here, and then we'll arm this track for recording. We'll arm this track as well. Just give me a second over here. Yeah, and let's record it. Yeah, we need to select this particular track in Cakewalk and press. So as you can see, with a simple press of simple press of a single note, I have created a small melody over here without, actually going through the uh, process of actually pressing all those keys. This really works well when you want to create a sort of a bass loop or a riff that is gonna be repeated again and again. So let's bring this all in view. Just drag it right up front. Now when we play it, right, so this is one example of what you can do with a MIDI VST. This is within Cakewalk. We can actually replace this with maybe another MIDI VST over here just by coming here and replacing the synthesizer. So you come here and you say replace synth, and now maybe you might want to play some chords as opposed to doing some arpeggiation, which Karnu Cream CM is doing. So I select chords over here. Chords is another such MIDI VST that alters the signal. Now on pressing a single key on the keyboard, I'll be able to trigger these three keys which are visible on the screen, which is C, E, and G. The moment I press my C key on the keyboard, that is what it's gonna trigger, right? So this is what it would sound without going through the chords plugin. But because I'm using the chords plugin, it is actually triggering a chord instead of triggering a single note. And this is how you can actually bring some depth to your music without really, knowing how to play the keyboard really very well. You can just begin like this, and as you progress, you might be able to create more and more better melodies, right? So this is how you would do it on Cakewalk, correct? So now we'll see how you can actually do this in FLStudio, yeah? So in FLStudio, it is a little, obviously it's a different DAW, so the process is slightly different here. So what you do is, in this case, you will come to your VSTs, right? And so Cream CM, again, we'll be using. You come here and basically place Cream CM over here, correct? And then you select an output port. Okay, this could be any number. This can be, like in this case, I have set it to 10. And along with that, I will take, say, for example, Reactor 6 player here. So I can select one of the ready instruments that come with Reactor 6. And I'll go with Microprism over here. And then I can select one of the sounds that I like. Okay. And just come here, select the input port, the same as the output port that you have set in Cream CM. Select this sort of FX channel, and then come to Cream. And now you can hear sound being processed through Cream CM, correct? So we can maybe select one of the other tunes over here. Yeah, you can basically go through either of these sounds. right? So that is how you can do the exact same thing that we did in Cakewalk in FLStudio. So this is how you would use a MIDI plugin to drive notes in FLStudio. Right, in this case, again, you can replace this with whatever synths you want. You can replace this with whatever MIDI VST you want to use. Although, I mean, FLStudio does have its built-in arpeggiator, and so does Cakewalk. The advantage that this brings in is that, you know, there are more esoteric plugins that allow you to do more with MIDI inputs that maybe your current DAW doesn't already have in it. So you can do that with these, right? So we've seen how you can use MIDI plugins with Cakewalk. We've seen how you can do it with FLStudio. Now we'll have a look at how you can use the same MIDI plugins with Ableton. Right, so I will start Ableton Live Lite here. And again, I'll select maybe some MIDI instrument. In this case, again, I can sort of select, let me see which ones do I have. Yeah, so we can maybe, yeah, we can maybe select Randarp. Okay, so Randarp is this arpeggiator with where you can actually add randomness to the notes and stuff like that. It's pretty cool when used correctly. So we've added this Randarp over here, and we'll take another synth now. We'll take maybe, I don't know which one to go with. So just give me a second, yeah. Yeah, so I will sort of take maybe Surge. Okay. And now I will drag and drop Surge on the second track. So what you've essentially done is you have two MIDI VST add-ons working together here. One of those is Randarp and the other one is Surge. Okay. So now all you need to do is you need to tell Surge where your MIDI input is going to come from. In this case, we will select Randarp in the MIDI from, and again we will select Randarp right below that drop down. But as you can see, when I click on when I press any of the notes on my keyboard, I can see some signal over here, but I cannot hear anything. The reason for that is I need to turn this in monitor on, right? So once I do that, I'm able to hear the output that is coming from Randarp and going straight into Surge, and then Surge is basically creating that sound for me. As you can see, this is the sound coming out from Surge, correct? And now I can maybe select some other sound here. We can try to make it sound much better. Maybe we'll come to Digiportal. Right, so yeah, so Digiportaled will let me create this sound, and on top of that you can edit this sound with whatever effects you want. I don't know, you could probably use some reverb or delay unit. Surge does come in with several effects built into it. So yeah, so that's about it, how you can actually use MIDI plugins within a DAW of your choice. Since we are already on Randarp, I'd just like to show what you can do with Randarp. you can actually, this is the number of octaves, and how much randomization you want in those octaves is what you can do. This is the velocity randomization. So all of these parameters of a note, okay, of a MIDI note that are coming in can be randomized. Actually not coming in, going out, because you are just pressing a single note. Randarp is generating those auxiliary notes for you, additional notes for you, and while it is generating those, it can randomize those notes at these different parameters. So maybe we can have some shift, we can have some swing, we can have a change in the gate length of these notes. We can in fact have a probability of the note being played or not randomized. So maybe we want, like, say 60% of the notes to be played and the rest should just not be played, random, at random. So as you can see, this sort of creates a very it has that essence of a melody, but still it has some randomness to it, which sounds really good. It doesn't sound too loopy, so you could probably use something like this, or you could use any of your desired MIDI VSTs in either of these three applications the way I showed you. There might be some other ways, but this is the way I use it. So if you liked this video, do like it, do share it, and do sort of follow me on Twitch and subscribe to me on YouTube. Thanks a lot. See you again next time, guys.